Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, we're doing the Darkest Timeline thing. So it's me talking about me stuff. This week, computer games. There's a lot of computer games at the moment. I apologise if you're not into computer games, but there's a lot of computer games at the moment. Birthdays, being tired, being angry, and trip to the vet. There's games, movies, no TV. TV is lacking at the moment, so sorry on that one. But you know, too much stuff to watch, so don't watch anything. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. That's the one. That is the one. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello, how you doing? That sound you can hear could very well be my computer. I feel like it's very loud. The other sound you can hear is the sound of sheer joy in my voice from the fact that it is 1 minute to 4. That's right, 1 minute to 4. In the afternoon. That's right, ladies and gents. The man who attempts to podcast before 10 o'clock at night is podcasting several hours earlier for reasons that are almost unbelievable. At this point in time, this is my second to last job of the day. I mean, I'm in shock. Don't know about you. I mean, obviously I could go into all the things that have led up to this point, but ultimately, let's just enjoy it. So, there's a couple of not great in podcasting sense type things. There may be a couple of repeat subjects this week, and knowing that is obviously not great from a podcast perspective, but they're repeat subjects obviously for a reason. Obviously I'm just trying to find a way to justify the money for old rope principle. We are, where are we? First week of May. I feel we did well to get this far, and I think this is one of the things that I may have already mentioned, but the heat is coming thick and fast at this point. I saw 20 degrees on the car today, which not a great, I mean, what does watch say? 17 degrees, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Car, not a great judge of character when heat's concerned. But a question. And that question is this. Why does it feel so much warmer? Is it? I suppose it's like from a scientific perspective. If you go from cold to a little bit of warm, it feels warmer than when it was cold. Now I feel like an idiot. I say now. I mean, the majority of the time I feel like an idiot. So, but it feels like I remember like 40-degree days feeling. Not. It's hard to explain. So, like, everything that I do now is affected by the heat at this point. You go for a run, it's warm. Climbing, warm. Walking the dog, warm. trying to like do certain activities, you put a VR headset on and it's surprisingly warm. At this point in time, I've inadvertently got my t-shirt tucked in. I'm going to have to untuck it because sitting here talking to you, sweaty. It's stuff like that. The constant sweating, obviously being a gentleman of the larger fraternity, that's always going to be something that you have to kind of take into account when it comes to, the warmer months. But yeah, I imagine that's probably another reason why it's not exactly my favourite time of year. So there was a day last week, completely different subject, by the way. There was a day last week where I'll have mentioned this before. My weeks are very similar in a lot of ways. Monday. I can take you through a Monday. Very simple. Get up, run, go to work, come home, work some more, dog walk, workout, eat, podcast, probably go to bed. That's a Monday. And that's the same every Monday. Apart from today. Tuesday, get up, run, dog walk, work, etc. Because I'm working from home, you get that I'm going to take my lunch, go and jump on the treadmill. You don't have to travel home to then do a workout because you can just log off, do a workout, walk the dog. Monday night podcast. Tuesday night, very rarely is there a podcast. There's no podcast to record. There's no podcast to code. There's usually, more often than not, no podcast on a Tuesday. Wednesday, on the other hand, is major podcast day. Sometimes that carries over into Thursday. Very rarely is there anything. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In the winter months, winter months, Sunday is American football night. And off the back of that, there is often a few more evenings through the week where there is podcasting. What that means, I think I've probably gone through this before. What that means is that there are certain evenings that are what I would refer to as game playing evenings, and there are evenings that are non-game playing evenings. So, Monday, no game. Tuesday, game. Wednesday, no game. Thursday, maybe. Friday, yes. Saturday, Sunday, yes. However, you have to take into account by Thursday, I'm absolutely exhausted. So, sitting down playing computer game console is almost definitely going to equal sleepy, snooze. So, there was a day last week. This is a long way around of getting to a certain point in time. There was a day last week where it was a computer game playing evening. Now, where I am in my life right now, and with a variety of different things that I've got going on in my life right now, the computer games are, how do I word it, a little bit more important than maybe they should be, a little bit more of a focus than maybe they should be. I feel very fortunate as a gamer to be in a position where I have an absolute boatload of computer games at this point in time. I was thinking about it yesterday and today. I've still got a game that I haven't played at this point in time. That's not a surprise, but it's a game that I was really looking forward to playing. And the reason I haven't played it is because it requires PlayStation Plus, so I'm going to have to pay for it. So I essentially have to work up to paying to play the game I've got, and I just can't bring myself to do it when I've got so many other things that I could be playing. And I mean, so many. Ultimately, what it means is that game's just sitting there, never been played. So, double-edged sword and all that. So there was a night, I want to say Tuesday. It doesn't matter. There was a night I was like, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play some computer games. Something that we'll talk about later, but I'll sort of preempt at this point in time is I was having issues with VR related issues. Headset versus cable versus computer versus me versus a whole host of other things resulted in me putting on to play VR, and the VR was like, nah, mate. It was laggy. It was there wasn't very much I could seem to do to sort it out. I wasn't able to get into the game the same way, and because of the fact I'd got into it the day before, I think it was, and it was fine and played fine, but on this day it was like, well, you haven't gone into it the right way, so you can't play. And it was laggy, crashed the game, crashed the computer, not the computer, but the the program it was running on the computer, crashed that. And I got to a point where I was like, I guess today isn't the day. Way back in the Quest 1 days, when I was first getting into PC VR, I was saying to somebody the other day that there used to be this thing where certain days you could play and you could just play and play and play and play and play, and it had no issues. Looked amazing, played amazing, and away you went. And then it could literally be the next day, it'd be nothing but non-stop issues. The game would look like ass. It would play like a bag of dicks, and you just got to the point. It was like, I guess today isn't a PC VR playing day, and that was what it was like that day last week. So I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this off, walk away from this for now. Earlier that day, I had purchased a very cheap game because it was a very early. It was like the second game in a 5-game franchise, and I think it was I think it was like 10 years old. What's nice having access to the Steam Deck means you can play old games, especially if they've been sort of enhanced for nowadays. You could also pick them up dirt cheap, so it's like a win-win-win-win-win. See comments about massive game backlog. So I bought a game earlier in the day. I'd installed it and got it ready to play. At a later point, I had a go on it and was like, yeah, I'm digging this. I like this. I can play this. This is good. I was like, well, in true defiance of the PC VR situation, I'll put that game on that I bought earlier today. Put it on. Started playing. Got so far. Got stuck. Couldn't get past the bit in question. That was kind of the end of that. I was like, oh, I mean, admittedly, it didn't cost me a lot of money, but I was enjoying that, and I'd only played a little bit. I played the training mission at the beginning, but that made me sad. Fine, okay, screw it. I'll go and I'll play PlayStation, which for some reason, I don't know why, and I can't really explain at the moment, playing PlayStation has become a bit of a dirty word. Even though it's not a word. To me, I can't explain it. I think it's because the VR has been such a heavy sort of a contender. PC VR reignited opens up a whole breadth of game possibilities. It's like a treasure trove of untapped games, because when you're just working with the Quest, you're limited to the Quest library. The moment you plug a cable in or other methods, you open up this other world of games. With having the recent edition of the Steam Deck and having that as now you can tap into the PC market. Now, not going to lie, at this point in time, the PC gaming market has held no interest for me. As I've always said to people, I don't want to have to hit a game with a hammer and use 12 different hammers just to get it to work, just to get it to run. And that's all I see from PC gaming. You need to have the best possible PC on the market to run a game that was built 14 years ago, that didn't work at the time and has never been fixed. You then have to do multitude of different things just to get it to start. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I want to press a button and play a game. I feel like gaming is supposed to be accessible. And if it isn't, I'm just like, what the hell are we doing here? One of the things, just as a bit of an aside, one of the problems you run into with the Steam Deck is Steam Deck compatibility. Now, what I will say on the plus side is a lot of stuff is compatible, and a lot of stuff is compatible to a degree where it's classed as playable. Some stuff is fully playable, fully supported. Some stuff comes up yellow, playable, and then you get stuff that's completely unsupported. Now, I've had situations where I've played a completely unsupported game because I've Googled it and it says, this will tell you it's unsupported. It's fine, don't worry. And then there's the one where you roll the dice, take a chance, take a punt, and you can't even get past the main menu. I speak from experience, had that the other day. So, having the Steam Deck has opened this world of possibilities like the VR, PC VR. I think because of that, and because of lacking games, shall we say? Lackluster games might be another way of putting it. I feel saying play some PlayStation, a bit of a dirty way of saying it. What I can say is this. I was like, right, what options have I got? Sometimes I do this thing where I look at the options I've got and I play the thing I want to play the least to kind of force me to actually play stuff I own. Rightly or wrongly, unfortunately or whatever, in this scenario situation, that was the Avatar Pandora game. You can tell how little interest I have in this game, as I can't tell you what it's called. I think, if I had to guess, I'd say it was called Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and I think that's just purely because I walk past the box every time I go to the toilet. If I had to guess, gun to my head, that's what I would say. I am probably wrong. Maybe. So the game I wanted to play the least was that. The game I wanted to play the most was probably The Crew. So I was like, right, put the Avatar game on. So I put the Avatar game on, having had no luck with the PC VR, and the Steam game I bought just being like, nah, mate, it's not happening. So I was like, right, okay, what missions have I got to do here? all right, I've got to go and speak to this person. Like, why do I feel like I've already done this? So there's a person on top of a building. You have to go and speak to them to get a mission, quest, whatever you want to call it. So I go up there and I press the talkie-talkie button. Nothing happens. There's no conversation, no nothing. But I'm also like, why has this killed the controller? I could move forwards and backwards, couldn't look around, couldn't move side to side, couldn't jump, couldn't open any menus, or do anything other than move forwards and backwards. I was like, what's going on here? And I was like moving around the thing, and I tried to load different things, but obviously you can't get into any menus and stuff. I'm like, I don't get it. What's happened here? Quit out of the game, closed it down fully, reopened it, restarted, went in. Right, okay, go and speak to this person. So I went over, pressed the talk button, and exactly the same thing happened. I was like, what is going on here? Not just what is going on here, but why do all the games hate me? Came out of it, closed the game, fully closed it down, went back in, loaded it up, went to the person, pressed the talk button, nothing happened, killed all the controls, and I went, I think we have to agree that at this point in time, maybe today isn't a game playing day. The other thing being is, by this point in time, it was like 11:30 at night, and I was just like, well, I won't be playing game for much longer anyway at this point in time, so I tell you what, why do I just read a book? Because at least the book can't crash on me. I mean, it was on the Kindle, so... Not that I'm not bad-mouthing the Kindle, I'm just saying no electronic device. But I was just like, I was 3 for 3 on that one. 3 for 3. 3 different mediums. And I'm like, guess we're not playing games. Had a birthday in our house in the last week. Leon's birthday. Not gonna lie, it was really stressful. I had this thing, rightly or wrongly. I feel that certain things can go a bit too far. She had even spoken to me a little bit before her birthday and was like, look, I don't want loads of stuff. I don't feel all of the children need to get me something because I know that's how you normally do it. I just, there's a couple of bits I'd like, but I can tell you what they are. Outside of that, I don't want a lot and I don't want a fuss. So I heard none of that. Recently, like in the last year or so, maybe a bit longer, maybe 18 months or so, I've had this thing where I'm like, I used to have this system where I'd say, birthdays and Christmas is an opportunity for you to show another person what they mean to you. If you've enjoyed their time, their company, their friendship or the relationship that you have or whatever, it's your opportunity to say, hey, I appreciate you, I like you, or I love you, and I wanted to show you that in a gift. Now, admittedly, I imagine there are some people that would probably frown upon that, or me saying that, or that being the way, but that is the way I do it, and I think that comes from a particular type of upbringing. Again, rightly or wrongly, I don't imagine there was any way for it to have been different. So, there's that. So, over the last 18 months, I've been very much like, I want you to know X or Y or whatever. Where where Leanne's concerned, it's been more of a case of sort of like, it's just it's simple, and Leanne does a lot for me. There's that sort of, where points in time where gifts have been concerned, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, birthday, Christmas. I've been like, I want you to have a nice time. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have the shortest way of putting it. I want you to have like nice gifts, good gifts, expensive gifts. Because of that, it can also be quite stressful. I start weeks in advance, sometimes months in advance, especially if I know something that I'm like, well, I can get that now, saves me money further down the line, and I know that it'll still be valid by then. Things like if somebody says, I'd really like a pair of leggings, that's probably not going to change in 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. I can't imagine a situation where 3 months down the line, they're going to be like, oh man, I didn't want any leggings anymore. Somebody says to you, man, my slippers are broken. You make a mental note of that. That person's shoe size isn't changing anytime soon, and the style of slipper that they like probably isn't going to change. Probably get them early. To spread the cost, what I also did was started early and then just did little bits at a time. So, like, once a week, go onto Amazon or wherever, buy 2 items. That's that week done. Those items turn up, put them away, put them somewhere, so that you hopefully don't forget. And then that's 2 things off the list. As it was, each child had 2 items and I had 2 items. Then there was 1 gift from all of us. So, running up to the day, I was excited. I don't want to toot my own horn, but they were good gifts. Some of the stuff that she'd asked for, presumably those are winners. Some of the stuff that I'm like, I think she'll like that. Sometimes you roll a dice. Sometimes it comes out snake eyes. I think that's the bad one. And then there was this big gift from the family. And I'm like, I honestly think she's going to love it. Coffee. Outside of that, I was like, oh, what do you want to do for your day? I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do the other. So that in itself needed organising, with children being in various different places. Some childcare was needed. Nana to the rescue. So she wanted to go climb in the morning. Then over to the cafe that we enjoy, back for child pickup and tea, and there was talk of doing movie and getting some food and stuff like that, but in the end, typically, her birthday fell on a podcast heavy day. So we just sort of moved that all to Saturday. So, my day started 5:45 because I was going climbing in the morning. In hindsight, not the smartest move. Not the smartest play. Anyway, I get up, I go out the door, go and climb, come home, sort children. 1 child off to school, 1 child to Nana's, back to climbing. This was a super genius idea Right up until the point we got there, and I went, I shouldn't have climbed this morning. I am cream crackered. By the time we got done at climbing, and I mean done at climbing, I was ready to leave. I also had jobs that needed doing. Now, one of those was fuel for the car. Another was trying to pick up a cake just to stick some candles in to blow out. And I needed a card. Now, I know that sounds like bad preparation, but it wasn't. In a sense, I had a card. I wrote a card. I stuck it in an envelope and I sealed it. And then I went, I needed to put something in there. Damn it. So, I needed a card to put something in to replace the fact that I'd already done a card and not put anything in it. So I was like, right, fine, I got to get a card and a cake. So I went off to do that. Running around like a lunatic all over the place trying to get stuff done. To get back home. To do a workout, because that's the only place I could fit that in. Showered, changed, back in the car, out the door. Get to the cafe, running through the door, order myself something to eat, sit down, realise at this point in time I've got about 20 minutes to eat, drink a coffee and get back in the car. Yeah, took them 10 minutes to bring me my food and drink. So I was like, right, I'm going to drink this as quickly as I can, this hot coffee, and eat my cheese scone. Wasn't cheese scone, it was cheese and onion, and man, that mother repeated on me until the next day. It was delicious at the time, though, not the 400 times I tasted it after that. Had to leave half a pot of coffee behind. I can't tell you how much it pains me to say those words. Back in the car, drive back home, jump out of the car, round to collect the child from school, back home. Once home, right, let's do some presents, do the presents, then do tea, then do cake, then get children to bed, then believed I had 3 podcasts to do. Turned out it was only 2. And oh my days, was I pleased about that fact. By the end of that day, I was like, I need to seriously reconsider what I'm going to do for my birthday, because I think I might be somewhere close to death at this point in time. I ended the day on something like, I think it was just short of 19,000 steps. It was 9 miles something area. I didn't run on that day. Yeah, didn't run. Didn't have time. Couldn't fit it in. Can you imagine what it would have looked like if I'd have run on top of all of that? What was really nice about that was it took me about 3 days to recover. What was also nice about that was that in there I ended up having a night of working until nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. The level of exhaustion I feel these days, I've never known anything like it. I get the age thing. I understand, you get old and, I'm old, so I can't do what I could do when I was 20, 25, whatever that thing that people say. I get all of that. What I don't get is why a day like that takes 3 days to recover from. I'm just like, I get it was a busy day, but come on, bro. I've got a climbing related story, which I'm sure everybody is thrilled to hear. Obviously, I'm going to tell it anyway, so. Place I go climbing, there's a area called The Cave. It has 2 outside walls, one of them leans back, 2 inside walls, and a barrel that connects the 2 inside walls together. Every now and then the barrel gets used for a variety of different things. A couple of sets ago it had what was known as a bat hang. You had to hang upside down to start a climb. Very interesting to watch people doing that. And having had a recent set of The Cave, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the types of routes that I can do, he says. And I managed to achieve 5 of 6. On the one I couldn't do, I just couldn't. There's this particular type of move I was trying to do. You have to kind of crouch down and then shoot up. Bit like shooting in basketball, I guess. Crouch down a bit and shoot. I couldn't do it through fear, inability, whatever. The other day I'm stood and I'm staring at this climb I can't do. One of the things I find to be interesting about climbing is there are times when it really makes you question things about your life. I've had some very sort of I was going to say exploratory, is that a word? Mind moments. There's just been points when you're staring kind of into space. You're looking at a route, but you're just staring in space. And solving some of your life problems at the same time. There have been times there when I've gone through major depressions. There's times there I've gone through bouts of feeling good. You do a difficult climb and you come away feeling good. Times when I've relived difficult moments in my life. Times where I've gone through good memories from the past and things like that. It really is a strange time at times. I think I've sort of spoken about this recently or alluded to this recently. Recently I had quite a difficult sort of point in time. I had a difficult conversation and it didn't go well. And I think I've come to terms with the fact that I feel like it's scarred my heart. I feel like I've got this big gouge, through my heart or down my heart. And it's affecting a lot of other stuff in my life at the moment. Hence what I was saying about the computer game stuff, my fluctuating weight, I think would probably also fall into that category. And a few other things. So I'm standing there and I'm reliving this moment in time while staring at this climb I can't do. And I'm this was terrible and this was awful and it was hurtful and it was just a really bad time. I didn't deal with it overly well and all of that. And this is going on internally whilst I'm stood. And all of all of a sudden I just went, and I can't do anything about any of that. But what I can do, I can do something about this. I can affect this. And I went up to the route I was staring at, and I was like, "Urgh." I was angry, but there was nothing I could do about like what I was angry about. But I was like, I can do something about this. And I climbed up to the bit that I couldn't do, and I sort of crouched and went up, grabbed the last hold, and finished the route. Climbed back down, went round and spoke to Edward, and he was like, "You all right?" I was like, "Yep." Just did that route that I couldn't do. And I was like, that's interesting to have that sort of, that feeling of anger, that feeling of whatever, and then sort of be like, yep, might not be able to do anything about that, but I can put that energy into this. And it's weird because it made me think back, like a few years ago, I was like, I was dealing with something similar. I was going through a really bad time. And I found that I could transpose all of those feelings, emotions, anger, betrayal, hatred, all of those emotions translate real freaking good into the gym. Real good. You're going to get a personal best if you're thinking about the worst point in time. Let me tell you. So yeah, I'm wondering if it's like some untapped potential. As a bit of an aside, it has sort of pushed me on a little bit. I feel like I may be a percentage, and the number is probably quite small, but a percentage better and a percentage more able to do some of the stuff that I felt like I maybe couldn't do. I've started trying other things, harder routes more recently, not getting too many results, but I think just trying them is a result in itself. And it's a kind of one of them, isn't it? That's how we learn. We go from there and we learn. So, yeah, kind of see where that leads. I'd take the dog to the vet. There you go. How about that for a segue? Had to take the dog to the vet. It was that time of year. And that time of year, where the dog goes to the vet. I had 3 weeks to take the dog to the vet. And I took him in the last week of the 3 weeks because I put it off as long as I possibly could. And I tried to gather the biggest, honestly, the biggest pile of money I could generate. Because I was like, I haven't been to the vets in minimum of 6 months, maximum maybe a bit longer. They are gonna pull my trousers down and spank my bottom. Financially, obviously, they're gonna say, hey, see all them BMWs out in the car park? They don't pay for themselves, you know. No. You pay for them. Get in here and bring your wallet. So, I bit the bullet, picked up the phone, ran the vet, and I went, I need to bring my dog in for a vaccination. Please don't hurt me. And they said, yes, sir, we shall see you next week. And I had a little cry, maybe a little pee. I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad when I attempted to cross the very busy road And as I got there, there was a big gap for me to get across, and I went, that can't be good. And I pulled into the small car park, which had plenty of space for me to be able to park, and I went, I don't like it. I don't want to go. Got the dog out of the car. The dog did his usual. This is somewhere different. I don't like it. But then also knowing where he was, and I want to say he loves going to the vets, but I don't know that that's true. He just acts like an absolute lunatic. Go in, stick him on the scales, realise that he's a little bit heavier than I thought he was, which means that in all given situations, he now needs more tablets. So, flea time, more tablets. Worming time, even more tablets. And it was already difficult to give him 2. So, I'm in the waiting room. Certain parts of me are puckering, and the door opens, and the lady says, it's your turn, and I'm like, I don't want to go. We go in. It's like, how is he? I was like, he's fine, generally fine. Eating? Yes. Drinking? Yes. Toileting? Yes. Very regular. Don't need to worry about any of that. Don't need to be concerned. Like, how's his ear? Like, for fuck's sake. So I went through this long-winded explanation about how, his existing condition is very up and down. Some days it's good and some days it's bad. And when it's bad, I do my absolute bestest to clean and care and, make it as best as I can for him. Oh, right, okay, let's have a look. And I went, oh, for fuck's sake. And I could feel the arm reaching round and unbuckling of the trousers, and a single tear ran down my cheek, and I went, okay. So she stuck the thing in his ear and had a look and went, yeah, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not bad. Okay. She was like, keep up with the cleaning of it. There are a few things you could maybe consider further down the line. I'll give you some leaflets, but right now, just keep on with the cleaning the way you've been doing it. Okay. I'm like, this is normally the point where they stick a cotton bud in his ear and charge me the earth for every moment past that point. In the process of this, she stuck a needle in his neck and gave him his vaccination. And she was very much like, we're done here. So I'm like, okay. We go out into the waiting room. She hands me some bits of paper for this is some of the stuff you can read about for his condition. I was like, okay. She was like, if you just want to go over to the reception desk, you can pay, and that's you done. I'm like, okay. So I slink over to the reception desk and I go onto my banking app and I start moving hundreds of pounds in preparation for what I expect is something that was previously expensive, but it's once a year, so you kind of offset it. And I'm pretty sure it's gone up a quarter, a third even. I get to the desk. I'm like, I've got my dog. He's had his vaccination. And I'd like to pay for it, please. She's like, yeah, that's fine. They're just sending the notes through. Like, okay. By any chance, do you know how much it is? Realising that was a stupid question because presumably she knew exactly how much it would be, being her job. She's like, yeah, it's £56. I was like, okay. I I thought it was like 150 quid, and that was last time, and I'm sure I'd seen something like you've added 50 quid onto it. Like £56. It's like, yeah, but you've got a £20 credit, so it's £36. I'm like, where's the £20 credit from? Because I certainly haven't given you any money. And I don't think the cats have been for a while. So where the hell's the credit from? She was like, right, okay, that's £36, please. And I beeped my phone. She was like, do you want a receipt? And I said, no. In hindsight, I should have said yes, because I might have got an idea of just what the actual hell was going on. She's like, right, see you later. And me and the dog sort of slunk out the door, and I was like, quick, run. Got in the car, and I'm driving away like, they're going to ring me, and they're going to be like, we're really sorry, we've put the wrong animal through the system, and in actual fact, you owe us a big chunk of money. At this point in time, it's 5 days ago, and I've not heard a peep, and I honestly was like, I don't know what's happened here. I'm really scared. I've obviously got the payment side of it in my head really wrong. I think just naturally dealing with the vets, I just dial the numbers up astronomically because, you know, that's what they do. And I think I just got in so much of a muddle that in my head I was like, hey, it's £150 and now it's £200 and then they're going to charge me another 150 quid like they did that other time, and it's going to cost me so much money, and I don't want to do it, and I can't afford it. And I think it was a lot of that. So yeah, I'm scared. Finally, something I haven't mentioned before, but nobody got back to me on this one, so I'm going to ask again if somebody can let me know. What is the headache you get when you get up on a morning and you're like, oh man, I'm just going to sneak back into bed? I feel fine. I feel like I could get up now, but in a true act of defiance, I'm going to get back into bed. And if you're fortunate or unfortunate enough to fall back to sleep, what is the headache that happens where you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck and you carry that headache with you for the rest of the day, and not even painkillers can do anything about it? What is that headache? Where does it come from? What causes it? How do you get rid of it would be the main question there. Anyway, just like food for thought there. No TV. I never did get back to that episode of Invincible. So sorry, I guess. I have watched a film, and it is a new film. I wasn't 100% sure whether I ever thought I would say this. At the weekend, me and Leanne watched Gran Turismo. Now let me explain why. We needed a film to watch because we were still in birthday mode, and we were going to sit down and watch Saturday night movie, have some food, and like the last crowning part of the birthday. So that was that. We needed a movie. So Leanne's like, what movies have you got? So I just literally went onto Prime and started going through the like trending movies, I think is the section. Basically, it's been at the cinema in the last sort of year or so, and it's a certain price. You can either buy or rent. Started going through them. No. Maybe. No. Not today, thanks. Etc. etc. I jokingly went Gran Turismo and then moved on. I said a couple more and she was like, no. She was like, I'd watch Gran Turismo. I was like, really? So let's jump back a little bit. When Gran Turismo was announced, I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? Are there truly no new ideas left in the world? Are we at this stage? This is what we're doing. It's got David Harbour in. Fine. It's got one of my least favourite actors in, Orlando Bloom. Just cannot stand the guy. So that in itself, reason not to watch it. And the principle of the film, I'm like, what are we doing here? So I'm like, are you serious about this? She was like, yeah, I'd give it a go. Right. Right. So I'm like, but it's had such terrible reviews. And then I looked, and at the side of like where, like part of the description does give you on certain pages of Prime, it'll give you 2 reviews. One of the reviews is from Amazon, one of the reviews is from IMDb. And the weird thing was, the one I tend to ignore is the Amazon review. But the IMDb review was like, I think it was like 7.8 out of 10. I'm like, what? That can't be right. So I Googled. I was like, Gran Turismo review. Managed to get to the right one because there seems to be a few different types of Gran Turismo. And found that the reviews for Gran Turismo were largely positive. Like, more positive than I could have ever possibly imagined. I was like, I could have sworn that this film had bad reviews. And maybe that was maybe like a perception thing. I just presumed it would have. Obviously, based on a true story, so, you know, people like that sort of thing. For those of you that don't know, it's a guy who's very good at the game, the computer game, Gran Turismo. And the Nissan Motor Company do a bit like a gimmicky kind of thing. They're trying to drum up their own sort of business, their own sort of racing business, I think. Car business. They decide to hold a tournament where the best players in the world get to actually compete to be real life race car drivers. And the principle is just bonkers. And I guess that's probably why it makes a good story. I was blown away by the reviews I was saying. I was like, how is this even possible? The principle of the film is questionable. But then I was intrigued. I was like, well, now I feel like I kind of need to know. I was like, right, okay, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's lock it in. So, Saturday night comes, sort some food out, get ready to watch a movie. This movie, Gran Turismo. So, put it on, started it. A little while ago, I reviewed a film. I think it was Plane. I reviewed it because I'd heard nothing but good stuff about it, and it was available to watch for free. So I watched it, and I was like, wow. And the review I gave was, that film didn't have any right to be as good as it was. That was largely the overarching review of that film. That was the review I gave for Gran Turismo. After we watched it, I was like, what did you think? And I was like, I really enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, honestly, I don't think that film had any right to be as good as it was. Some of the aspects that I really liked about it was it's been it's licensed with Sony, with PlayStation. So there were like all these different sort of like sounds that were like PlayStation sounds. So that sort of pulls at the, not nostalgia, is it? Because they're current PlayStation sounds, like menu sounds. But I was like, that's cool. Some of the effects where they put like, almost like made it look like a racing game over the top of like cars on tracks, actual real cars on real tracks, I liked. Some of the effects where they sort of like, not blew up, but like expanded cars to show all the inner workings in like a CG form. Cool. Really well done. Really like them. As a film, it was shot really well. It was a really beautiful film. It reminded me a lot of Rush. Something that I can't quite explain, can't quite put my finger on, other than, a lot of the time it reminded me of the original Top Gun. To the point where there's a bit at the end where a guy pops up and says, I'll be your pit crew. I'll crew your pit anytime. And all I heard in my head was, I'll be your wingman anytime. There was a lot of things like that. Like there were points where I was like, have they just ripped off Top Gun? There was this urge where I wanted to look up like how much of it was real. A little bit of a spoiler, but there's quite a big crash at one point in the film, and I was a bit like, I kind of wanted to look up to see if it was real, if it was true, what the details were. I kind of wanted to look up how much of it applied to real life. He had a strange relationship with his parents. In the film, they were obviously doing his parents don't support him, and then they do. But the way they demonstrated that in the film was strange. Just a bit disjointed. I'd kind of like to know the real ins and outs, the real sort of workings of it. Some things I wasn't a fan of. Like I say, I'm never really going to get past the whole Orlando Bloom aspect of it. If it's any consolation to all you Orlando Bloom fans out there, he wasn't terrible in it. I just have no time for him. David Harbour played David Harbour, as he seems to do. There was some stuff I didn't like about it. I could have really done without the cliche lines in it, which got to be quite a lot by the end. And this guy's a rival for no apparent reason other than he's taken instant dislike to you. Okay, I guess we need that for the film aspect. Honestly, I'd like to not see that, especially when they do this guy's a rival, until later in the movie when you need him not to be, and then he's your best friend. It's like, so what? Which is it? Honestly, as a Saturday night movie, there were points in time that I was proper gripped by it. Very much feel-good film, very much an underdog story. It's shot really well. It looks beautiful. The cars look amazing. Action scenes, great. Honestly, Saturday night movie ticks pretty much all the boxes. It's a strong, like the review score of 7.8, bang on. If I had to use the new IGN system, I would have to say probably more of an 8 than a 7, because it was better than 7. maybe not quite an 8, but yeah. End of the day, what more could you want from a film? To walk away and go, I enjoyed that. To be surprised by it. To be surprised that you were like, I'm not going to enjoy that. I think it cost me £7. And honestly, nowadays, that is money well spent. So, I've got no console games to talk about. I keep kidding myself that, once the weather gets that bit hotter, it'll make VR playing harder, so I'll probably play more console games then. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is, but it is what it is at the moment. So for the moment, no console games. I have got Steam Deck stuff. Not necessarily console quite, but I have played Into the Radius on the PC. I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. Looks amazing when it looks amazing. I'll get into that in a minute. Extra detail and just the fact that there are things that look different. I've seen stuff on videos and I was like, man, I wish that was in my version of the game. Well, now I've seen those things. This pulsing circle in the sky on certain areas looks amazing. The anomalies in the game, very different in the PC version and look amazing. Additional things, some areas slightly bigger and slightly different. Some things that I am less enamoured with, which I thought I didn't think I'd be saying this. The game overall is harder. The enemies are harder. There are more of them. Certain enemies that are in the standalone quest version are easier to deal with. They are a lot harder to deal with in the PC version. Even playing on easy, this game is hard. I save 100 times more than I ever did in the quest version. I used to save like when I was setting out on a mission, working on the principle that every now and then it'd auto-save, but I didn't really need to bother. Now, I save after I take out single enemies, just because I know it's that little bit closer to achieving my objective. Something that's also less in the quest version is one of the original reviews of this game said that it's a survival game that removes the main element of a survival game, which is like the trying to get the resources, because you can just buy everything in the game. In the quest version, yeah, you very much, you get paid to do missions, you use that money to buy stuff. Very noticeable in the PC version is it does feel more like a survival game. The resources, the money, things like that do seem to be less. It's taken me a lot longer to buy certain weapons and certain upgrades. There's been a couple of points in time where I've had to go out and back on smaller, low-paying missions just to get a little bit of money to buy a single upgrade for a particular weapon. An aspect of that is interesting, to bring that element in a bit more. From a play perspective, it is harder. The game is harder in a lot of elements. It looks nice, but it is harder. I have the whole thing where I'd bought the new cable to do PC VR and plugged it in, and basically just having these really laggy issues. Turned out that I wasn't logging in the right way. Once I'd realised that, then I got some stability. Obviously, like I was saying, there was a couple of days last week where it was just a non-starter, and I just basically had to write that day off as far as PC VR was concerned. Then I found a way to do it. You open Meta, you open Steam, you leave everything else, plug everything in, and away you go. And that was a lot more stable. I would say you're looking at sort of like an 80% stability. So everything looks amazing, plays real well, mostly. The thing that weirded me out was like Half-Life Alyx plays fine. Into the Radius was like, nah, I need more than Half-Life Alyx requires. I'm like, Half-Life Alyx is the most labour-intensive game. That plays fine. Into the Radius is like, nah, I need more than that. So there've been these issues, these problems. The other day, I remembered a conversation about I was having with Ed about how to make PC VR more stable, and it involved an Ethernet cable and plugging an Ethernet cable into a router. Now, for me, that's not an option for a multitude of different reasons. I don't have a cable long enough. Thought I did, can't find it. Also, can't plug into my living room router because it doesn't have any ports available because it's rubbish. An option would be to plug into the other node, because that one has all of its ports free. It's over the other side of the house, and I'd have to go through 2 doors with a really long Ethernet cable that apparently I don't have at this point in time. So there we go. That is our situation. Now, what Ed had said, I was like, well, surely if I'm not plugging directly into a router, but into like an additional node thing that's wirelessly working off my router, surely it's just the same thing. It's still technically wireless. Like, technically not. The moment you plug that cable in, it switches to Ethernet, whether it's connected to your router or connected to a wireless node. Like, oh, that's interesting. Just so happened, round about the same time that all this was going on, my PC's Wi-Fi decided it didn't want to work anymore. So I'm effing and jeffing and all this and the other, saying that my internet's terrible. Did multiple speed tests on my PC and was getting like 6 meg download if I was lucky. One day I decided to do a speed test on my phone and got 700 meg download. Tried it on the PC, got less than 1. I was like, I think my wireless card may have died. Some point in time I managed to get 100 meg of download on the PC, but that was a one-off, never saw it again. It's been absolute garbage all of last week. So, some point in time, I'm sat, cogs are turning, like spinning away as they do. And I was like, what I need another wireless node that I can sort of put next to my PC, which I can then plug an Ethernet cable into, and then I can try also either doing the cable version of PC VR, or I can even try the Airlink version. And it was round about this point in time that I remembered that I had another one in a box, never used. And I went, oh wow, that's interesting. So that evening, like some kind of mad scientist, I unboxed everything, plugged it all in with some help. And the PC went, I'm on Ethernet now. Do whatever you want. I've got not the best download and upload speed in the world, but it's certainly better than you had before. I was like, cool. What if I try the Airlink, like virtual desktop type thing for PC VR without the cable? And it said, sure, go for it. And I tried it and it worked. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Now, I will say this. I've only tried Into the Radius this way, and it plays like an absolute dream. No lag, no crashes, no nothing, touch wood. None of that stuff that I've been dealing with up to this point. None of it. It does look like ass, though. Doesn't look as great as it did. It's grainy, it's a little bit blurry, it's a bit hard to see. But it plays amazing. So now I've got this thing of, do I want the game to play really well but not look as good? Or do I want it to look as good and play not very well? First world problems, people. A few last things for the Steam Deck. One, the game I was talking about that I bought and couldn't get past was Sniper Ghost Warrior 2. I've played Ghost Warrior 3, and then I've played Contracts 1 and 2. Really enjoyed all of them. Put Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 on, did the training mission. I was like, yeah, I can get on board with this. I'm liking this, I'm enjoying this. And then couldn't get any further with it. I was like, cool. The racing game I've been playing, Trial Out. I've completed 5 of 6 races required to move on. I cannot do the 6th race. It is a go-karting race, and I just can't do it. And like any good game, yeah, it means I can't move on. So that's kind of the end of that. Big thumbs up there. Picked up a couple of bundles the other day. Yes, I know, it's an addiction. I need to address it. But in one of them was the game Trepang. I don't know if it's Trepang 2 or Trepang Squared. Sorry, I don't know. It has a little 2 after it, which would suggest squared. First-person shooter where you have quote-unquote superpowers. Your superpowers are you can make yourself invisible and you can slow down time. Superpowers, yes. What I will say is this. I really wish there was more. I really wish there was more superpowers. So that aspect. On the other side, it's a really fun, really cool game. The slow motion stuff is really good. The destruction, like environmental destruction kind of thing, is really fun. Good, solid, really nice game. Again, one of those situations where it's like a nice novelty to be able to say that. In one of the bundles I got was a Worms WMD, Weapons of Mass Destruction, which I believe is Worms 3. And I went, oh, I wonder if the children would enjoy playing that. Apparently what I meant was, I wonder if I'd really enjoy playing that, because I've been playing a lot of Worms recently. I may have also bought another Worms game. Worms 2, I think it was. Worms Armageddon. Yeah, that whole thing has reignited some kind of strange Worms fascination. Anyway, that is a podcast done in the light of day. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another one gone. Where does the time go, I ask you? Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Before you go, if you could do me a little job, do me a little favour, click that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button for you to get in touch with us. The biggest one, though, share the podcast around. Say to your neighbour, hey, I've got a podcast for you to listen to. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this awesome cookie cast.